With the first pick, the number one pick.
What an incredible time of year. It is MLB Draft time. We're getting close to about a month away. And certainly these are the times that we take these brains that you see here and introduce the best players that are heading into professional baseball and some that will see their lives change forever. Hi there, folks. My name is Daron Sutton. It's mock draft time number 1 on Perfect Game TV. We hope to do a couple of these throughout the next month as we head into the draft, which is just ahead of Major League Baseball's All-Star Game. Brian Sakowski, National Scouting Supervisor, will join us. Vinnie Cervino, National Scouting Supervisor, as well, handling all things college-related for Perfect Game, and Jered Goodwin, National Scouting Director for PG. Jered, this is a fun one this year because, selfishly for me, I've always thought that, this class of 21, with all that they went through in 2020, will always have a more special place in my mind. And I'm guessing for you three, it's exactly the same. With what happened in 20, boy, this 21 draft feels some kind of special.
Yeah, there's no question. And it's been great to kind of see this group develop. Big thing is we got to see them throughout the whole summer circuit. There were no real shutdowns. Everybody's playing across the country. So I think going into this draft, everybody just feels a little better about the evaluation process. And some of these kids have really taken that carrot and pushed themselves into the conversation that we're going to talk about today.
Vinny, what I love about this year's draft is, and I think you guys are going to throw some of these names right up pretty early, there are some guys that were some buddies coming out of high school. They were good, but now they're great. They took their chance to go to college and made themselves great. Not just like top 10 round great, but first round great. Look, I think you guys are going to talk about a half dozen guys that took the college journey and put themselves into the first round.
Yeah, there's a number of guys when you look at the collegiate class, especially when you look at the top of the collegiate class, guys like Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, guys that were names coming out of high school, but then went to college, went to school, performed, took that next step to kind of be that elite prospect and jump into that top 5, top 10 round category.
Yeah, and Brian, in the Midwest, and your heart beats in the Midwest, though you travel the country all year round and see the best players in the country. Here we go again, cold weather states, Midwestern states, high school, college. We're seeing the heart of America again contribute to pro baseball.
Yeah, there's no doubt, Sut. And it's something you and I have talked about on many shows before. We need to stop sleeping on the cold weather states, man. We can play baseball up here. So I'm thinking this is another opportunity. This draft will be another opportunity for those cold weather guys to show off and be up there with the southern guys right where they belong.
You ready, Brian?
I'm ready to go, man.
I'm told you're first. Representing the Pittsburgh Pirates, Brian Sakowski, you're up.
Yeah, this one ended up being pretty easy, even though I agonized over it for a while. The college arms probably at the beginning of the year is who you'd think, but now it's prep bats for me, and I'm going to take the guy I think can be an offensive impact from the left side of the plate and play on the left side of the infield, and I'll take Marcelo Meyer from Southern California.
So for you, and I'll go quickly, and God, by the way, guys, I know a lot of you have personal anecdotes. That's what makes PG maybe different than any other show you're going to see. You guys know these guys pretty well. Heck, I know a lot of them pretty well, but if you want to share, but just from the scout's eye, what makes him the number 1 overall pick?
For me, it's the bat. It's the projection on the bat. We can talk about whether he's going to play shortstop or third base long term, and it's a fair conversation to have. But I'm buying the upside of the bat. I think this is the potential for what we call a 12 bat on the scouting side, with 6 hit and 6 power on the 20/80 scale. A guy who can impact the game from an average perspective, from an on-base perspective, and from a power perspective. And I think that even if he has to play third base, who cares? That's a really good player.
Eastlake High School, San Diego area. He's a PG All-American, USC commit, San Diego show, his travel team. I'm very proud of his Latin American and Mexican family heritage. I've gotten to know that about him. Jered, you represent the Rangers. Number 2 belongs to you.
Yeah, this I think Zach kind of hit it on the nose. You can go a number of ways here. Obviously, those college pitchers early in the season would have been, kind of no doubter here. But I'm going prep bat as well, and we're going to stay at the shortstop position with Jordan Lawler. I think you could argue, and as Sack said, agonize over who's going 1-1, and he's certainly in the conversation. Maybe the most fluid, maybe the safest bet to stay at shortstop, just with the physical body right now. Probably the most projection left of those top prep bats, especially at the shortstop position. I remember about 4 years ago, he was at the trials, 14U trials, maybe 3 summers ago, and all the kids called him Baby Jeter just because he was so fluid, he was so sure-handed. And when you have these kids calling another, really competition at that point, because everybody's competing against themselves, and then they go and get on a team and they compete with each other. The best compliments you can get is from those players, and all those guys calling this guy Baby Jeter. I still remember how excited I was to follow this kid, and he's rung the bell. Right? He's going to go number 2 for me right now.
Jesuit College Prep. He's a Dallas-Fort Worth area guy. He was a 14U Select Festival player, so you guys have been on him for many years. Perfect Game All-American, 4.12 in the classroom, so he checks those boxes. What I love about him is during a time last summer where things were challenging for all of us, especially as it pertains to peace in our country, he represented the African-American baseball player as well with a lot of pride and confidence. And so cool dude, man. I love Jordan Lawler. All right, Vin, man, you're up next. You are at number 3. Let's see, you're representing those Detroit Tigers. Brian, how are you not representing the Tigers, by the way?
Well, I didn't want to.
Quality control.
Yeah, quality
That's
control.
right.
Yeah.
Credibility factor?
That's right.
All right, go for it, Vin, man.
The prep shortstop seem to be hot, so we're going to stick on that prep shortstop train. We're going to take Brady House from Winder Barrow High School in Georgia. Speaking personally, he is one of my favorite players in the draft. I've seen him since he was 14. There's no better upside shortstop, I think, in the class than Brady House. When you look at the size, the athleticism, and the power potential, you're talking about a guy that could potentially hit 30, 40 home runs at his peak in the big leagues. He's a really, really gifted athlete, and a really underrated one for his size as well. He is a big kid, but I think people kind of underrate the athleticism, the twitch, kind of the movement skill that he has. And when you're talking about a guy that's getting comps to guys like Chris Bryant and Nolan Arenado, I mean, it's a pretty special bat.
Yeah, and I got to say,
This is the dude, yeah.
I gotta say, this is Vinci. We see eye to eye on House, and it was great to see last summer because he had an uneven summer. And for a scout, you don't wish that on a kid, that they go through some struggles and they try to figure themselves out. But it helps you from a scouting perspective to see them come back from that. And I got a chance to talk to this kid multiple times at the end of summer and talk through the changes that he was making, some of the struggles that he had. Obviously, this is coming off a really, really weird year where he had to take a ton of time off and then dive back in of seeing all the best arms in the country. So there's going to be some growing pains. But what he did with his body, with his approach, shortening up his swing from the end of summer, right around the Perfect Game All-American game, to what he did in the fall, I think all of us were so excited. And again, it kind of speaks volumes to the kid when you see a guy that has a target on his back. He was the number 1 player in the country. That's what we were looking at. He was the best position prospect. And to see him kind of go up and down and then pull it all together, come back and have an absolutely monster spring with great games against our number 1 pitching prospect in the 22 class, Dylan Lesko. It's so easy to scout a kid and kind of get that makeup when you see him overcome what he did. And it was really special. I got to know the kid. He's a tough kid. Vin knocked this one out of the park, no pun intended.
Yeah, Winder Barrow High School, his coach, Brian Smith, he's the biggest man on the face of the earth, by the way, for playing that position. He's ridiculously huge. He's been bigger, stronger, faster, maybe not faster, but certainly looks bigger and stronger than most of the dudes around for the last couple of years. All right, so we've had shortstops go 1, 2, 3. The Boston Red Sox. Brian, you are up. Represent. Boston's not going to pick this high again for a while, so make it good. But we've got 3 shortstops going 1, 2, and 3. What do you got?
I'm going to go off script a little bit here. I'm
Good.
going to continue.
Good.
I'm going to continue the prep shortstop run. Khalil Watson is my pick for the Red Sox here at 4. It's just, Jered and Vinnie, and along with myself and some other members of our scouting staff, we had a conversation not all that long ago where we were talking about, like, hey, if we'd had a little bit more track record with Watson, if he was a guy who we'd known about as a sophomore and as a junior, rather than like kind of bursting onto the scene last summer, would we be talking about this guy as the best player in the class, at least on the prep side? And it's hard to make the argument of no. So even with a little bit limited of a track record as compared to the other guys like a House or a Lawler who we've seen since they were 13, it seems like I'm in love with the twitch. I'm in love with the swing. He's got power. He's going to play shortstop. Like he plays angry, and I love that too. I'm going off the board a little bit here. I'll take Khalil Watson at 4.
God, I love
Watson
that
is
pick.
the guy. Watson is a guy too that like you said wasn't on the national radar. Didn't come to the national showcase. We got a tip off about his talent. Hey, maybe you want to watch this kid. Jeremy Brown, our colleague, goes and sees him at the Elite in Hoover. I see him in Fort Myers. Other guys see him in various areas, and we kind of come to the conclusion as a staff, like, guys, this guy's a dude. Mm-hmm. He ends up going to the All-American game, and now he's going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I know you guys. I know you guys have influence because the word travels fast amongst your circles. Because we were going to presses, to use an old guy term, on the All-American Classic show. It was edited. It was done. This team that helps to work on this, it was done, and I got a call from the big boss, and he said, "By the way, we'll try and get you some video, but can you add a name?" And I kind of was exhaling, not too happy. I guess, who is it? And that name was Khalil Watson.
Yeah.
He was 12th hour. He was, you guys got to, the leadership, and you guys are the scouting leadership, and said, this guy's got to be on. That's how late it was, because we were done with the show. The roster was done. And, you guys nailed this one. I mean, Jered, you guys nailed this one.
Yes, we were actually sitting at a little Italian place during a rain delay that we unfortunately frequented often during the WWBA, and we were kind of sitting there, guys, we can't miss an at-bat. We really got to get this one right. We've seen now, I mean, it was throughout our entire scouting class, scouting department, it was, guys, we've got to make sure. We're just seeing this kid, and we were sitting there, and I said, guys, should we make this call? This is something, not that it's going to happen, but this guy has to be an All-American. And he was named an All-American, and he didn't stop. He hit all the way through Jupiter. He actually had a rough couple weeks for his standards and, first part of the high school season. And everybody sitting here on this panel didn't panic. He's going to hit. And what has he done? He's absolutely hit. So a little off the board, especially 4 straight prep shortstops with my draft guys here. That's a record, correct? Ties are
that's incredible. Hey, by the way, NC State commit, just a quick, those of you who don't know it, Wake Forest High School, Dirtbags, his travel team, played super aggressive. I can remember, aggressive play at home, played in the Jupiter meets Fort Myers event, the World Wood Bat Association World Championship, kind of nicked up football players' mentality. Oh, man, I love this pick. Jered, you were talking, keep talking, rep the Orioles. You are up now at 5. Yep, we've got shortstop. You're representing the Orioles at 5.
Yeah, this is a fun pick for me, just personally, because I've got if you see my wall behind me, I've got a middle-of-the-order bat right there that's playing for them. And actually the other side of my wall, I've got DJ Stewart's jersey sitting there. So I'm going to get these boys some help right here. We've got Rutschman coming up the line here. So I, as much as I like Henry Davis, he's not in play for me. It comes down to these arms in Nashville, I guess, right? And I might go off the board a little bit here. I'm going to go with Kumar Rocker. I'm going to go with the dirt.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that banger that he's got. And they need help, and they need help soon. So I'm going to go with a guy that I think has a really, really high floor. I think the ceiling goes all the way up into maybe that 2 range. If the fastball quality gets a little better, maybe even more. But he's so safe to get up for me, get up quick, and have a long career and a building block for what they're trying to do on the offensive side. So I'm going to go Kumar Rocker.
91 innings pitched, 135 strikeouts this year, PG All-American, a very, very famous man in the prep and prospect baseball world. What's fun about this pick for me is that, you guys knew about him a couple of years ago when he was a high schooler, and his dad Tracy had a successful NFL career, still as a college and still at Auburn, still is a really good coach, and mom is a strong leader. It's a great family. You guys knew about it a long time ago. The world knows about this dude now. I mean, a no-hitter in a super regional. Gosh, this seems like a guy, Vinny, that could probably come pretty quickly, right? I mean, I'm not trying to be silly, but, maybe a couple of years, he's in the big leagues.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy who has the best breaking ball in the draft pretty easily and has another plus breaking ball to go along with that, in combination with probably having the longest track record of any college arm available this year. It is a weird year because college arms don't have the track record that we're accustomed to in terms of Cape experience, USA experience, summer experiences. But besides that, Kumar Rocker's freshman year and his experience in Omaha, that sort of stuff, like that is kind of on a level that nobody else really has this year. So yeah, Kumar can absolutely move very quickly.
All right, represent Arizona, Vinny. You are up now. You are at 6. Arizona Diamondbacks lean on Vinnie Cervino. Who do you select?
We are going to pick a player that I saw earlier this year and take Henry Davis out of Louisville. He's absolutely in play higher than this, possibly the number 1 overall pick. He's the top college position player in this year's draft. It's an unorthodox swing, but it's a very efficient swing. He hits the ball really hard. He has good power. He has a really, really strong arm, double plus arm behind the plate. Some guys have called into question the long-term catching future at the position for him, but even worst case scenario, if he's playing right field at third base, that's going to play. And he's a really safe option, but he's one that should also move quickly and is probably going to be a middle of the order bat sooner rather than later.
Vin, what do you think if he doesn't catch, like where's the tool set and athleticism, et cetera, et cetera? Like we know he's got a cannon for an arm. Like where does it profile best, do you think?
I think it profiles best in right, personally. It is one of those things that I think the catching issues are things that can be worked on. I don't think they're deal breakers by any means. I know he's an extremely hardworking kid. I know Jered knows him personally, but the skill set's exciting. And even in the case where you maybe want to move him off catcher to protect the bat even a little bit, I think right field's a fairly good option given the fact that he's athletic and the arm strength obviously in play there.
And I'll touch on that too. As Vinny mentioned, I got to spend a little time with this guy during a winter in the cage. And the interesting part is when he came to the junior national and came to the national, didn't necessarily question what he did behind the plate. And it's so easy to just fall in love with that cannon of an arm that he has. It's just so easy. But he was told. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He was told the bat's not going to play. And getting to know him, he's an extremely hard worker, but the IQ is what separates him. So going into minor league baseball, the one thing we know is that people get better defensively. So he's going to be able to kind of split his work a little bit because it's been very one-sided because he wanted to prove people wrong with the stick, and he has. So I actually think long-term this guy ends up being a middle of the bat type player, and I think he sticks at catcher, which obviously if we're picking him this high, we're planning on that too. But the IQ, the confidence, the leadership abilities, everything checks those boxes that he can stay at that position. And obviously, like Vinny said, he's just been dynamite this year offensively, and that's not going to stop even with kind of the unorthodox swing.
He's the guy too, Vinny, that I was referencing, when we came on about, guys ranked in the 200s coming out of high school. Guy uses college as his springboard. Doesn't mean you guys didn't get it right. You did. It just means that he took those couple of years and busted his backside and has become a guy that Jered wants to talk to, that Brian obviously knows about. Vinny, you cover with all your great college coverage. Brian, so you're representing the Royals. There was a guy named Leiter that was talked about at 1-1 a lot. I've seen all these shortstops. I'm just saying you got another shot at him here. You're representing the Royals at 7. Go for it.
This is easy. Yeah, give me Jack Leiter. I didn't even have to think about this one. Some components here working in my decision-making process. The Royals have had really good success taking college arms in the last couple of years. Singer and Chris Bubich are pitching in their rotation right now. Daniel Lynch and Jackson Kowar are down on the farm building. I'll take Leiter here. I think that one of the prep shortstops might be in play if he were to fall this far. Job might be in play, not to steal anybody's picks later on. Give me the dude who... there's still a chance he goes 1-1, man. We don't know. Polished, great delivery, elite competitor, obviously has the bloodlines, maybe the best fastball in the country given the metrics on it when he's throwing it in the mid-upper 90s. Good breaking ball. Some things there if you want to nitpick. I probably need something moving away from lefties a little bit more than he does right now, but I'll take Leiter here and not really even think twice about it.
Jersey guy, we know Dad Al, the friend of Perfect Game. Certainly, you guys had him and nailed him as a PG All-American. Vinny, this seems like a dude that did not waste his COVID shutdown. He exploded once he was back on the scene.
Yeah, I mean, when the dust is all settled, you're talking about, because he's technically still a freshman by the collegiate standards, you're talking about one of the best freshman SEC seasons probably of all time. I mean, you got a no-hitter. You got 16 straight no-hit innings to start your SEC career. A 2.10 ERA that leads the country in strikeouts. I mean, he's been fantastic. He's like Zach said. There's some things we can nitpick here and there. I mean, for me, the breaking balls are a little bit behind everything else, but it may be the best fastball in the draft. And he's a guy that's an elite competitor who's proved it on an elite stage in the Southeastern Conference. So, I think Leiter at 7's a no-brainer. And I think we're talking about the separation between this kind of top 6, top 7 guys versus the rest of the draft, too.
All right, so Jered, you're up next. Vinny, I need you to really think this one through. I need you really repping the Angels, man. So Walt Jered picks. Seriously, we need some help here. So think it through, okay? Jered, you are up. You are repping the Rockies. You are up at number 8.
This one's tough because I kind of go back to the recruiting, background that I have, and you a lot of times you have to make a decision over maybe the best player available or playing to your specific ballpark here. And the thing the Rockies have done, they've drafted guys that have hit. There's no question they have some guys that they've developed and they come up to cores in that park and they hit. So I'm going to give them every opportunity to develop somebody that could have, let's call it what it is, maybe at least rivals the best ceiling in the draft from the pitching perspective. And I'm going to give them every opportunity right here to get a guy that maybe has the best spin metrics of anybody and go with Jackson Jobe. And I don't want to do this because the track record, of where we're at. But I'm going to give them every opportunity, and RPD is going to develop this guy into a frontline starter, and he's going to be able to pitch in that park. And the hitters are never a problem when you're talking about the PD there and what they do at the big league level. Jackson Jobe is going to turn the table.
Oh, Jackson Jobe, Ole Miss commit, Oklahoma City guy, Thrive Baseball, one of his travel teams. Talking spin rate, who wants to take that subject that he just threw out there, boys? Who wants to take it? Surprised by this pick?
No, I mean, this is the guy who
envious even.
Yeah, I don't. I'm advanced enough in my career as a scout to where I don't make audible noises behind the plate when I'm scouting someone. And Jackson Jobe made me make noises behind the plate at the All-American game.
Example?
Specifically, at the All-American game specifically, I'm not going to say...
No, but can you make the noise? I want to hear the noise.
Yeah.
What was
I mean,
the noise?
it was kind of like a squeak with some swear. There's a curse in there too. You don't want me to say it on this broadcast, but there was a high-pitched keen... But yeah, it just the dude throws 3,200 RPM sliders, and it's not like those spin sliders where you're that didn't even move much. What are my eyes not seeing? No, this slider moves between dimensions, And, like, he's also added a curveball that's similar on the spin. He's up to 98 with the fastball. You could make the argument that the fastball shape maybe needs correcting or adjusting, especially if he's going to go play somewhere where it's easy to hit home runs. Not that it's easy to hit home runs, but you know what I mean. But either way, good athlete. He's way better than any of us are at golf. Yeah, just lots to like there. Yeah.
And it's interesting he brings up the athletic point. So I got to meet his dad, who obviously was a pro golfer, at the National. And first thing he wanted to talk about is Sack, if you remember, he smoked a line drive hit to left field. And that was the first thing his dad wanted to talk about. And I said, hey, with all due respect, I want to talk about that 3,000 plus spend. Like, let's call this what it is. But I think the whole point is he is a great athlete. And when you're talking about right-handed pitchers, right-handed high school pitchers at this point, you better be sold on the athlete as much as you are with his repertoire. And he could have probably been a D1, left side of the infield or first baseman with a power bat and things like that. But let's not mistake anything. We're taking this monster stuff.
That's awesome. And by the way, with the evolution of the game here in the next month or two at the highest levels, authentic spin is going to matter because there are going to be some guys that are going to have their little duffel bags cleaned out if you're listening to MLB and Theo Epstein. So authentic spin, high school backfield, to use a simple word, spin that comes from the man above and hard work and not from that tacky stuff that helps you hold on to the baseball. My father, may he rest in peace, love him. But authentic spin matters, guys, so I love it. All right, Vinny, I'm really excited, man. This is an important time for you and I. We bond together now. This is a big opportunity for the Angels. He doesn't have to get here right away, but at 9, who are you selecting for the Angels?
Well, at 9, I was going to take Jackson Joe, but then Jered swooped in the last minute, obviously. So I think what I'm going to do instead is go a completely different route and take a guy who should be in Los Angeles in probably 2 years or less. In Boston College's Sal Frelick.
Love him.
He is a fan favorite of the scouting staff. He's a double-plus runner, center field fit. He's a little bit, in terms of a safe side type of prospect, in terms of collegiate performer who will play center and doesn't really have a ton of power to speak of, but he's going to hit for average. He controls the barrel well. He's a top-of-the-order profile, and he's going to play center field and run and steal bags. So he's a fun, exciting player. He's a fellow Italian countryman, and he's a guy that's going to impact the Major League lineup sooner rather than later.
We didn't let
a dude.
Sack take the Tigers, and now we're going with countrymen here. Like, unbelievable.
Where's my fellow Polacks? Yeah, where's my fellow Polacks is what I'm asking. Anyways, this is a dude that, I mean, we didn't know him in high school, or at least we might have been like aware of him, but he wasn't like on the radar this heavy in high school at all. Either way, years ago, before he'd even taken a college at bat, we're stuffing him way up on freshman draft lists, having never seen him. And then that spring, I went down to Louisville to see Louisville host Boston College, and like one at bat, and I was like, yeah. First round, we're good. Done. Like, check the box. Not that I'm a super scout. He's just that good. And I think, Vin, for taking him in the top 10, I think Vin undersold his power a little bit, honestly. I think this is a dude who's got a chance for 30 doubles and 10, 12 bombs. Like, that's not a punchless bat by any stretch of the imagination.
Love it, Vinny. I'm excited. 521 slug in his career, to your point, Brian. 435 on base. And that wonderful Italian family. He's one of the favorite guests we had on our podcast over the holidays. They love their home. They love their heritage. They love their Italian cooking. Nico and Francesca are the siblings. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get him here to Anaheim. You're moving 27 out of center field if Adele or Marsh doesn't do that. So I got you. A little depth in the outfit. All right, we're going to pause. We got 9. There are a ton of big names still left on the board. Some surprises at the top. That means there's some huge names. Our mock draft rolls on. Glad to have you hanging out with us. And glad you found us on Perfect Game TV.
Defense, you can always make a play. Create it in your mind. You're always trying to time when the ball is hitting the bat. Wherever I am, I know where it is. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna have to start jumping. Nothing more satisfying than making a big play.
Hi, I'm four-time Gold Glove winner Charles Johnson.
And that one, a towering shot, way back, Charles Johnson, a monster home run.
And you're watching PerfectGame.tv.
With the first pick.
Vinny, you repped my Angels so well that we're going to give you another pick. We're going to let you jump in there at 10 and represent the Mets. By the way, thanks for hanging, all you folks, and kind of diving in on this mock draft with us. Vinny, Mets, you're up.
Ty Madden out of Texas. The Mets are very scouting organization. They do things pretty traditionally, and Ty Madden checks a ton of boxes, both from an analytical side, but also from a traditional scouting side. He's big. The clean delivery comes from an over-the-top slot, and it's starter stuff. You know, it's a fastball that'll touch 98, 99 at times. It's slider that's plus. There's a third pitch that needs to be worked on a little bit, but it's a clear-cut starting pitcher frontline package there that the Mets can really develop and turn into a guy that could hopefully be pitching behind Jacob deGrom one day. But he's really, really good, and he doesn't always get the love that he kind of deserves. He's kind of in the top of that second group of the starting pitchers at the college level. But I think he's great, and he's got a plus slider and a fastball that touches 100. So,
Cy Ranch High School, I have a feeling there's going to be another guy that's called who went to college and upped his stock here in a little bit out of that very same high school.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely going to be a guy. Jered, you're up at 11. The Nats are your team. They're looking to you to help them.
Yeah, this guy probably could have gone, well before this if a little more was known. Some things had a brief stint where it took some time off this year, but could have maybe helped the Mets this year if they keep playing like they did. I'm going with Sam Bachman. I got to see this guy live this year in his second outing of the year, and started sending some videos over, and I'm like, guys, this guy can potentially get 3 outs in the big leagues with this slider this year, like right now. Got a little heavy with it. I thought the fastball got squared up a little more than I would have expected for a guy that was, bumping 99s that day and threw like 2 pitches total under, 94 through 6 innings. He went like 12 out of 13 pitches where he relied on that slider, but it's so good that he could have told him it was coming that day. And I think he can get up early. The Nationals obviously have a great reputation with developing arms, especially some that have had some issues in the past. But make no mistake of it, this 2-pitch combo that he has could rival anybody else in this entire draft. And so I'm going to go Sam Bachman to the Nationals.
Miami of Ohio guy, Fishers, Indiana. Either one of you guys, quick jump in on him because I don't have as much on him. It's a big dude. I mean, like 230, 240 pounds. Jump in, Midwestern guy, Brian.
Yeah, I saw him too when he came up to Eastern Michigan this spring. It's kind of unorthodox. He is big and physical. He's not tall or super tall.
He's built like a linebacker.
Yeah, he's big. He looks like, you remember the NFL of yesteryear? Yeah, remember the NFL of yesteryear where every inside linebacker was 6 foot 240? Like, that's what he looks like. And it's stuff. It's 2 pitches that are 7s, and once in a while the changeup looks good. Sometimes it doesn't. We can make the argument if he's a reliever or a starter, but it's power stuff. And like Jered said, I think if Washington in this scenario wants to do it this way, he could pitch out of their pen this year.
And
Jered was also giddy with excitement when he saw him.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think the last thing I'll say on him is picking him here. The changeup at least showed well enough that for sure want to develop this long term as a starter. But I think we're all in agreement that those 2 pitches could get outs right now. So that's kind of the point of the safety of it.
Back-to-back pitchers here after this commercial break at 10 and 11. Sackman Brian, you're repping the Mariners here at 12.
Yeah, there's an element in play here of like who I want is probably not what the Mariners model would spit out for them at 12. So for the sake of trying to keep it as projection as possible, I'm going to lean more towards what I think the Mariners would do in this situation, and I'm going to take Colton Cowser. I think they would have skipped to the podium for Sal Frelick. But as it is, Colton Cowser, outfielder, this is a guy that Vinny's been on for a long time as a mid-major guy who was on...
Noted perfect game Texas Diamondbacks alumnus.
Oh, so he's also worked for us. There we go.
That's right.
Is that legal? That's legal, right?
Yeah, we could...
Right, as long as they're working.
That's that's a really good point by you.
It's just there's some safety here. I think this is a guy who's going to hit. Jeremy Brown saw him earlier this spring. There's power that has come on more as the season's gone on for him. It's more of a safe hit tool, potential corner outfield guy, but maybe a chance to play center. Either way, I'm sticking with the dude who I think will fit some models as far as like swing and miss goes. And
left-handed
just a
bat, right, Brian?
Guy.
He's a left-handed hitter, Brian?
Yep.
Yeah, he's that guy that's out of Cy Ranch High School, another one there, Sam Houston State. And Vinny, he's another guy that takes advantage of college, right? I mean, you guys didn't have him on these big boards coming out of high school.
Nope.
No, he was a good player in high school. Like I said, we knew him a little bit back, not only playing in our tournaments, but also, kind of helping us out on the administrative side. But he really took college for himself and went there. And it's a guy kind of like I talked about with Kumar Rocker. Not a lot of guys in this year's college draft have the resume that Cowser does, because not only did he really do well his freshman year, that summer he immediately, as a true freshman, played for USA and got that Wood Bat League experience and continued to do what he did over the course of 3 years now. So he has a longer track record build up than almost any other college hitter in the draft. And what I was going to say on Cowser is he's a really, really fun one, because now you look back at that 2018 Cy Ranch team, you have Cowser as your main hitter, who's likely to be a first rounder now. Ty Madden as your ace, who's likely to be a first rounder this year. And then their 2 and 3 were underclassmen J.J. Goss and Matt Thompson, first rounders and second rounders respectively. So it's one of the more loaded high school teams of recent memory.
Crazy. Hey, listen, that's all well and good, everything you guys have said to this point, and we'll make it duly noted. But you're now representing our producer Jason here, so all of our cameras could go off soon. You repped me. Thank you for the help with the Angels. I appreciate it. Good stuff. But now you're representing the Phillies, and they don't mess around there. Jason doesn't mess around there. So, Vinny, who are you helping with the Phils?
I think I'm going to take a player that Jason will probably like a lot, and that's Betty Montgomery out of Pennsylvania. He goes to Redland High School. He is one of the more tool-stout players in this entire draft class. You're talking about a guy who's like 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounds, extremely fast-twitched, athletic kid. You're talking about a guy who's like a 70 runner, who's a 70 arm, and maybe 70 raw power. So there's not a lot of guys that have the tools that he has. And he's hit well over the course of last summer. He really committed to a swing change in terms of trying to limit a hitch that he had in the back of his swing. But, I mean, it's elite bat speed, it's elite athleticism. It's a guy you would take a chance on over and over and over and over again, even if you didn't have the track record or experience that we have with him.
Jason says I'll allow it, by the way. He says I'll allow that pick. Go ahead, Brian.
This is one of those guys where, this is one of those profiles where the tools can get you in trouble as an evaluator, and we've all fallen for tools guys who didn't pan out because we didn't give the rough edges of the hit tool enough credit. But I don't really care with Benny. I'm all in. I'm all in. I think that the swing change adjustments, I think, are paying dividends. I think even with a hitch, he has 80 bat speed. So I think there's something there to consider. But yeah, he's on. Jered might have been the one who coined this term last summer, but he's on the Mount Rushmore of PG tool sets of all time. I mean, it's unbelievable, the size and athleticism and the tools. This is what it looks like.
And throws 98.
This is what it looks like. Yeah, period. Yeah.
And on the backside of that, when we see a kid that we know what they're physically capable of, but then they go and start to refine, it makes us feel a lot better about things, and that's what he did.
Yep.
All right, Jered, you're repping the Giants here. You have the Giants, and you have them at 14. You're up.
Yeah, so I've had some dialogue with higher ups with the Giants over the years, and I'm going to go a little off of the path here. There's a guy that I think is going to pitch in rotations for a long time, and he kind of fits the Giants mold. As far as what they do, they get these baseball players, these winners, guys that can go in and just check boxes for years to come. And Jordan Wicks is that for me. He works down, works both sides. The changeup is a separator for me, especially in that big park that they play in. Can keep a lot of balls, in the yard. And he just kind of fits a mold that they've had with these college arms that are polished maybe over stuff. And I'm not saying he's done yet, but it's just a pretty safe bet to say, hey, you're going to pitch in a big league rotation, and could be just being left-handed, obviously, could do it for a long, long time to separate those power arm varieties.
Kansas State, he crushed 20. I mean, he crushed it before it shut down. Then he found places to pitch in the summertime and dominated in the Northwoods League. That's a great story, that guy. Really like him. Great pick, fun one. Brian, Milwaukee Brewers at 15.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to screw around here. I'm going to take the unicorn. That's Harry Ford. And I will more or less just cede the microphone to my colleague Jered Goodwin here to talk about Ford.
Yeah, and real quick, I mean, he showed up at the National and ran like a 6'6" and threw unbelievably behind the plate. He's a tremendous athlete, just to get a little bit in there. But this kid didn't stop hitting home runs in big spots all last summer. Like, he just, everywhere he went, he was putting up crazy exit velos. You could argue, is he going to play stay behind the plate? But he's athletic enough to move to center field. And how many times do you say that about a prep catcher? But I'm telling you, we walked in during the 2019 World Wood Bat Championship in Jupiter, and he had just gotten hit in the face by a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. And I was just going in to use the facilities there and came out washing my hands, and he's literally like putting water on his face, getting the blood off, and I'm like, man, you need to train. Like, we need to go. I walk around the quad, I see another hit, I go back, and he's back in the game playing. So when we're talking about toughness, when we're talking about character, when we're talking about makeup, I almost think it's almost wildly on the other side sometimes, where it's, be careful. But when you have stories like that about a guy like this, and you see the production and you see the tools, you might see a superstar one day. Like, if that is his resolve to help his team win a tournament at 16 years old, that's what he was. What's he going to do at 25? I mean, man.
So, Jered, as general manager, where are you sending him out in pro ball? Are you sending him out as catcher? Are you sending him out in the outfield, shortstop, maybe?
I think that first year I'd still let him try to get behind the plate and see where we're at. But I just think it's pretty safe that he could move probably anywhere on the field, and you'd feel pretty good about it. But the evaluation at catcher, I'd still let that happen.
Georgia Tech commit, a ferocious reader. I mean, reads everything he can get his hands on. Great family story. Mom's been through quite a bit. I've never seen anybody grow the strength and size of their legs during one COVID shutdown, although we've never had one in our lives. But my gosh, those legs. Talk about a foundation, how strong he got. Marlins, Vinny, go.
Yeah, so for the Marlins, I mean, you guys can this is one of the safer picks, I think, in the draft, but I'll be taking UCLA's Matt McClain. I think Matt McClain is a super talented player. High school draft pick in 2018, was a first rounder, but the Diamondbacks decides to forego going to pro ball, goes to UCLA and performs for 3 years. It's funny because he's really kind of drastically changed the profile a little bit. In high school, you've seen more of a offensive second baseman who can hit some and has good feel and can run a little bit. And now he's more of a shortstop who has power now and rakes and is a sure bet to stay at shortstop. It's been kind of a tale of two McClains over the course of the spring, but at its best, it's been like, oh, this guy's got legit juice. He's got bat speed, and he'll stay at shortstop. So it's a good player. And even if he has to move off of shortstop, it's a guy that has the offensive capabilities to hit kind of wherever he's playing in a field.
Yeah, I love this. While there's a tale of two McClains, there's three McClains out there, and one
That's
one will probably be drafted out of high school. Out my window here, he plays in Irvine, another at ASU. Guys, and I want to quickly get to the Reds here pick. What I love about him is you guys probably saw things with the scout's eyes his freshman year, but he hit below 200. And you think about gambling on yourself, right, and saying, I'm going to gamble on myself, which I love the guts that goes into that, and then you don't hit your freshman year. Now, John Savage kept putting him out there. I love that. I love that he stunk it up for a while. To me, that talks about a little bit of character development. I love the pick, love the kid, love the family, gambled on himself. So at 16, Matt McClain, UCLA, goes to the Marlins. Jered, at 17, you're representing the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, and the Cincinnati Reds are interesting, just the draft model, kind of all over the place at just going to get the best guy. I think I shouldn't say all over the place. It's just not they don't seem to be a team where it's hey, this is who we want, this is what we're going to do. It's like, here's my draft board, who's the best, and I think at this point, the ceiling of Bubba Chandler is just too much. You're talking about a guy that is going to have decisions to make whether he wants to go and play quarterback or not, especially at the school he's going to. I think they've developed some quarterbacks there.
Nope.
Brian?
Bad football school.
Clemson. I'll just let people in on the secret. It's Clemson. If you didn't.
My apologies. Clemson. They had something called a 1-1 this year at quarterback. 1-1. Yeah. So
another former perfect game employee.
Also
True.
A former perfect game employee, but the upside's too much. I think last summer we'd probably all agree we thought maybe a first round arm. I shouldn't say potentially first day arm, whatever it is. Now the athleticism's just shined through. If this is kind of the tip of the iceberg right here that he's showing us this spring, this could be a bona fide, middle of the order, top of the order, just disruptor. The power could come, the speed could play. Does he develop into that middle of the field player? But the athlete just trumps everything at this point, I think, and we're going to go with maybe the top talent left on the board from a prep side.
Switch hitter, right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, what doesn't he do? Incredible. Excited to see if they'll be able to find the right pick for him and financially make it worth his while to walk away from maybe being the starting quarterback at Clemson. That's wow. All right, Brian, you be Randy Flores in this situation and help us out with the St. Louis Cardinals at 18.
The Cardinals traditionally, to me, have been the team who've they never pick high, right? Because they're always a solid team. So to me, they've always been really good at just not overthinking it and taking the guy who fell or taking the best player there. And I'll if the medical's fine, I'm taking Gunnar Hoagland and feeling really, really good about it. This is a dude who I think is probably a top 10 pick. I think pretty easily a top 10 pick before the surgery. And with Tommy John obviously becoming more and more of a positive outcome surgery, the risk of it not taking is lowering seemingly by the day. This is a guy, I think it's a ready-made number 3 starter. I think he'd proved that. I think he had become the third pitcher on the board after the 2 Vandy guys prior to being hurt. And I'm not going to screw this up. I'll take that guy, Oakland.
All right, Ole Miss, nearly 200 strikeouts in his career before that happened. And we're going to take a quick break. Step aside. Vinny, you had a quick thought on Gunnar before we go to break?
Yeah, no, it was Gunnar was a Central Florida Gator back in high school. He went to 5A high school in Hudson, Florida, which is a little bit close to where I grew up. And it was actually funny when I was making a Florida trip spring of 2018, I was down for 2 weeks to try to see some guys. I asked Zach, I said, hey, should I go see Gunnar Hoagland or should I go see this other pitcher who's a certainly fine pitcher and is a very good college pitcher now, but not quite the draft stock that Gunnar has? So, hey, should I go see him or Gunnar? And Zach's like, yeah, go see that guy, not Gunnar Hoagland. So I didn't go and see Gunnar Hoagland in high school. he ends up being a first-round pick and then likely a top 10 pick after that.
What kind of story is that, Zach? What are we doing here?
Well, at the time, if people will remember, Hoagland was setting some kind of record for like most innings with no walks.
He had no walks up until the playoff game.
Yeah, and so the general vibe was like, okay, this dude doesn't play anybody. He just throws 93 down the middle and no one can touch it. And the other guy who will be drafted and is on the main stage, who we won't talk about, it was just a little bit louder at the time, it seemed like. It seemed like there was more scouts running in to see him. So I went with that. Ended up being wrong. I still think that dude might end up being at like a top 5 or 6 rounder, though. So we'll see. Maybe not too big of a miss.
Yeah, I'm not actually double calling you out. I'm saying what's up with that.
No, I'm calling myself
The
out.
fact that he called you out. I'm saying he called you out here. I mean, that's all I'm going with there. I'm not doubling down. Vinny, he jumped up the ropes just fine. We got
bad leadership.
Okay. All right. Yeah, with that, we're going to take a break. We need to take a break right now. Bad leadership is the theme. By the way, whoever that other guy was, we may tell you his name at some point, but you'll have to stay tuned. Our mock draft continues.
You can tell right away if it's going to be a good glove or not. Broken in good, so when it breaks in nice, you want to use it for years. And I got the gold on it now. If you're into it mentally, you're getting your pre-pitch routine, defense doesn't slump. It doesn't come and go like offense. If you lock it in mentally, it's going to be there.
With the first pick.
Back to it. Toronto Blue Jays, Jered Goodwin, 19. Please pick on behalf of the Blue Jays.
I'm getting to this part of the draft of just like, hey, I want to go with an arm, and I want to go with the guy that maybe has the best stuff and the most upside. And there's some things to be concerned about. I don't care. I'm going with Chase Petty. I'm doing it, guys. And
South Jersey, stand up. Yes.
That's right. And it's like 100-mile-an-hour fastball at times, even with a
better than that.
What?
Better than that.
Better than that at times, yeah. And even with the slender body and a high school kid, he was still up to 96 in the 7th, late in the year, for his team. So it's just electric stuff. I rushed over and at the WWBA a couple years back when he was 16U. He was playing shortstop. We just heard he was going to close. He had already put up a 94 like 2 days before. He makes a play at shortstop where he's coming around, backhands it, throws it across the infield. I'm sitting there going, like, footwork, release, obvious arm. Then he jumps on the mound. He's 90-94 that day with, like, big horizontal run and a huge slider that the arm speed couldn't even control at the time. Well, now he's controlling it a little better. We're not going to say commanding anything, but controlling it a little better, keeping the arm speed, the athleticism. This, for me, is the take it all away, the best stuff at the best spot. He's young. I can develop him. I'm going with him.
Awesome pick. All right, Chase Petty, Jersey guy, Florida commit. I love getting to know the family. Mom, a strong rock in his house, certainly. All right, number 20, the Yankees, Brian Sakowski.
This one ends up coming down to, like, I know the Yankees like the pitching analytics and guys with the spin metrics and guys with things like that. So there is a pitcher who I think might be in play here for the Yankees, but this is my pick, so I'm taking Will Taylor, high school outfielder from South Carolina. This is the second Clemson-committed quarterback of the mock draft, although Will Taylor would most likely play slot receiver at Clemson, I believe. I don't have a direct line to Dabo Swinney's thoughts. But with that being said, this is an 80 athlete. This is an 80 athlete. He's a center fielder. He's a freak. We saw him quite a bit last summer. and now he's added some strength and power to his game, where before it was kind of just all twitch and run, and you could project, but now the projection is kind of coming into fruition, and you're looking at a guy who is a center fielder who can change games with his speed, who can hit, who is now driving the ball out of the ballpark. So I think I'll take that guy.
Wow. So this is a South Carolina guy, Irmo, South Carolina. Give me it quickly, because I'll be, full disclosure here. This is a guy that's somewhat newer to me. When did he have his biggest explosive growth, and how close was he to maybe knocking on the door being a PG All-American last year?
It was close, I think. Jered may be able to comment more
Probably
on that than I would.
East Coast Pro.
Yeah, and it was good at WWBA too. Like, we followed him around a little bit. It was easy to see the twitch, and it was easy to see the bat path and the bat speed. But it was just a little bit light on offensive impact at that point in time, just in terms of power. And now that the power's come, and like Vince said, his East Coast Pro was really loud too.
I don't want to say light on this guy, but he was a two-sport athlete that throughout the summer just got better and started producing more. And Vince saw him at East Coast Pro, and he was outstanding. So it was a guy that kind of just got better throughout his high school career. And, the two-sport guys are kind of tough, and because you just don't see them as much. You don't get the fall on them a lot of times, stuff like that. So a guy that took advantage of, probably the pandemic, where he honed his skills in the cage a little more, and then continued to take steps through the summer, and then now added that power this spring. So I don't think it was anything other than a kid that, finally started to concentrate on one sport just a little more, and got stronger. And he was always a good athlete, could always run.
A couple of two-sport guys already taken. There's another one available, so we'll see another couple that jump into my mind that are available. Vinny, Cubs at, where are we at? 21, Chicago Cubs.
The Cubs will be taking the pitcher that Brian was probably referring to when he made the Yankees pick, and that would be Michael McGreevy out of UC Santa Barbara. It's a very, like I said, with a number of my college picks, it's a very safe pick, especially when you're considering right-handers, college right-handers. He's been up to 94, 95, but kind of just sits low 90s. The fastball metrics are very good. There's good spin. It's plus breaking ball. It's kind of a cookie-cutter, clear-cut starting pitcher profile in a way similar to like Gunnar Hoagland was like a clear-cut number 3 guy. I think McGreevy's probably in that similar range. He's got the best stats out of any pitcher in the draft, and it's not even close. His numbers this year are frankly ridiculous. I think it's like 92 strikeouts, like 8 walks or something. It's like 8 walks from like 70-plus innings. So he just fills up the strike zone. It's good stuff, and he's a slam dunk to start. He's a guy that's going to move very quickly through a pro system.
Yeah, like a 10-1 strikeout to walk. San Clemente High School. I'm out here in SoCal as we do this right now. He's beloved out here, certainly in the prep ranks, and he's another guy that took college as his growth plate, and he took it and had a chance to explode there. 22, Chicago White Sox, Jered.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some bats in play here, especially on the prep side of just guys that can hit. And the White Sox have done that in the past, where they've just gone after the absolute best hitter, take away power, take away tools, things like that. Who do we believe is the best bat to ball guy with upside, with a defensive position? So I do think that's going to be in play. But I'm going to go with Gavin Williams here. A guy that kind of burst on the scene a couple years ago with triple-digit numbers, but more of a thrower than a pitcher. I just like the trajectory of everything that's gone on. Every year he's gotten a little better when healthy, and this year has done it for a top 10 team, kind of from start to finish, in a park that is tough to pitch in at times, and the stuff is just really firm. He's had to show the growth. You can see the growth, and that's one of the big things that I look at. And whether it's a high school pitcher, whether it's a college pitcher's a little easier because the competition that they play. But he's just done it in a tough place to pitch sometimes for a top 10 team, and the stuff really hasn't backed off. It's just been firm. I think he's another guy that could potentially rise pretty quickly, and it looks like a guy that's going to pitch in a rotation for a long time.
68 innings, 108 strikeouts. He's like McGreevy, only 18 walks at East Carolina.
Which is nuts, by the way, because that was his arguably biggest issue as an underclassman, was strikes.
Exactly.
All right, here we go. Moving on. 23, the Indians. Brian.
Cleveland is a heavy modeling team in the draft. This is common knowledge. It's often actually like, kind of scouting colloquialism to joke about what Cleveland's going to do with because they'll take the young guy, or they'll take the dude who never strikes out, or things that are easy to identify. But they also are really good at taking high school guys who fall. They did it with Daniel Espino a couple years ago. So I'm going to repeat that process, and I'll take Andy Painter for them here. The high school right-hander from Florida. Heading into the spring, probably the number one prep guy, or prep arm. Now he's probably 2 or 3 behind Job, and maybe Petty, as Jered said. But he's huge. He throws strikes with 4 pitches. He can really spin the ball. The fastball's a little hittable, but that's okay. These are things we can work on. He's 18. There's a lot to like there. We've all seen him shove at various points on the circuit. He's been all over the circuit since he was 14. I think Jered's seen him 300 times, and Jeremy has seen him more than that. So we have a really good history with him. I think that's a pretty easy one.
Being down in South Florida for a few years, I got to see, and we had multiple guys that were committed to us while he was at Calvary Christian down there. One of the calls I've gotten a lot this spring is just kind of about his background, some different things that, and not in a bad way, just as scouts are doing their research. And this is a guy that could play a little basketball. They were a nationally ranked basketball team, and he was coming off the bench and getting minutes and things like that. But he's got such a different disposition where it's so steady. He likes to have fun. He smiles on the field, and you start to ask questions like, where does he go? Let me tell you, this kid is more competitive than he ever shows. He's just got a great idea of how to file it and how to understand it's about the next pitch, not the last one thrown. And I did want to say that about him because I think he's misunderstood sometimes because he is a very likable guy. But this kid is an absolute competitor internally, and I love this pick here. I think this is going to be one that you look back on going, how did he get there? How did he get there? Because he's got that type of upside, and I love this pick.
He sounds like a good employee. I mean, what you're describing sounds like a good employee, a good guy who can throw 97, who's worth investing in, a good teammate. I love what you described. I think that's great.
I admire that guy.
Yeah, that's worth investing in. I love that. Guys who fall. Very good theme there. So we have high school pitcher, high school outfielder, college pitcher, high school pitcher, and then at 24, the Atlanta Braves. Vinny.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going all out here. So let's go Lonnie White from Malvern Prep.
There's my guy, the football guy. Yes.
The third two-sport athlete that we have talked about on this show so far. He's actually committed to play football at Penn State primarily. So he's an exciting combination of tools, athleticism, physicality. He's huge. He's built really strong, but can run too. He was the MVP of the World with Bat 17U over the summer. Then he also performed at Jupiter down in the fall. It's kind of nuts because these are guys that like scouts want to be like, oh, well, can he hit? It's like, yeah, well, if you looked at the last 70 plate appearances he has, he's hitting like 450 in our tournaments or something like that against good competition too. So like he's raked, he's got big juice, and he's a big time athlete. Like there's a ton of upside here. It's super exciting.
Malvern Prep, and certainly our producer Jason very well aware of that, as my analyst Mark Gubazah, who's a Philly guy as well, certainly talks about Malvern Prep a lot. Penn State. And I love that pick. I was waiting to see if he made it into our top 29 picks, and he did. So Lonnie White makes it in. Here we go. We're at the A's now. Always creative, those A's, Jered. Be creative with them.
Yeah, had I had Vinny's pick right here, I would have picked the same guy. Because I think the guy that I'm about to call right here reminds me a lot of the shortstop that's playing in Atlanta right now, and I've said it for quite some time. I know a lot of us have an extensive resume on this guy, so we feel good, especially with an A's model who they like to collect every possible piece they can on a guy. It's a long resume. It's a lot of at-bats. It's a huge upside, a springy athlete that can hit. He's showing monster power this year. And I would have picked him to be Dansby Swanson's successor had that all come about. but the A's just got a great one. And Alex Mooney out of Michigan. I do just love the overall package, and I do see a lot of Dansby Swanson when he was in high school and Alex Mooney here.
Ryan?
Oh, I guess I have to comment.
Well, you know him as well as anybody, period,
Mr.
end of story.
We're going to go
Lake, St. Mary's
who's
Prep,
Alex
by
Mooney?
the way. Rochester Hills, Michigan, his hometown. MVP of the All-American Classic Duke commit. I'll give you all the basics that you can look up on the internet. But Brian knows him as well as anyone.
Yeah, I have, for the interest of full disclosure, I have been fortunate enough to coach at Orchard Lake St. Mary's for 5 years now. Alex Mooney is our shortstop. I have watched him grow up as a person and as a player, and if my opinion and recommendation matters, I don't think I could possibly have a higher one for Alex. I think he's going to maximize his tools, which are vast. This is not a like the gritty guy who everybody just really likes. Like, no, he's got tools too. He's an elite competitor. He's going to maximize those gifts that he has. This is the dude who texts me 11:30 at night when he's in the cage, like asking me thoughts on stuff. Like, this is that guy. I think that's a great pick for Oakland, and I think that he'll be a really good major leaguer for a long time.
Very cool. Keep talking and represent the Minnesota Twins here at 26, please, Brian.
Yeah, there's some bats here that I'm intrigued by for the Twins, but and this might just fly right in the face of their philosophy now, but Ryan Cusick's still on the board. I'll take Ryan Cusick. He's a spin monster. He's kind of like Job in that sense. It's up to 99, 100. It's a really, really good curveball. I think that he could immediately be made better, and Vin could talk to this as well by a little bit different optimization of his stuff. But yeah, it's up to 99 with a hammer, and he's huge, and the spin is all off the charts. And as far as building blocks of a guy you take late in the first round, those all check out to me. So yeah, I'll take Cusick.
Wake Forest guy,
a guy
Vinny.
that feel way higher than this too.
Yeah, Wake Forest guy.
Yep.
Yeah, so, as Zach said, he misspoke there a little bit because he said he was up to 99. I had 101 on my gun, just for the record.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a guy
Twice
with
he's corrected you. That's twice he's thrown you under the bus, by the way.
Bad leadership on me. Yep.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a guy with the best pass, one of the best fastballs on the college side, like Cusick and Jack Leiter, and it's the end of the list. But it's a guy whose fastball spin metrics and traits, they play better at the top of the zone, and sometimes he gets into the habit of trying to pound to the knees, which is always taught and ingrained into young pitchers' minds from an early age. They always say you want to throw low in the zone, but when you have a fastball that Cusick has, maybe you should throw it up in the zone because guys can't hit it up in the zone. But it's just been a combination of that. Like Zach said, he's more of a project than you would see out of a typical college starter. But the upside's truly vast. He compares favorably to Bobby Miller, Dodgers first rounder from last year, in my opinion.
His final start was against Pitt, and we talked to him actually after that on our podcast. And it was cool because Kevin Costner's For the Love of the Game, as he walks through his journey as a human being, that he looked at it like that. Now he shoved 7 1/3, 10 strikeouts. It was nice for him to go out like that, a team that wasn't going to post. And clearly he loved it. And he and his mates helped to knock Pitt completely out of the NCAA tournament. So
yeah,
he had a meaningful, impactful outing in the end. There's some edge there. Love that pick. All right. Padres, San Diego Padres, Vinny, 27. A couple of more picks to go. Padres, and we love the Padres. We're at Petco Park every summer for the Classic. Back there this year. Who you repping the Pods with?
Yeah, we're just going full off the rails here. I'm going to take a guy that has gotten a lot of steam late.
Do it.
A name that I know Zach definitely knows, but we're going to go with Frank Mazzucato here.
Oh, yeah.
Projection left-hander, very similar to Blake Walston, first rounder from the Diamondbacks a couple years back. He's a gangly lefty with smoothness, a really clean operation, a high-spin curveball that he can really land, spin the hell out of. He's mostly 88 to 91 at times, but he's been up to 4 and since 90, 92 sometimes, and a lot of the ingredients are there of what makes a frontline starter. And you've seen it before with the Padres taking guys like this. Obviously the profile was much, much higher, but they took Mackenzie Gore at number 3 overall, number 4 overall, whatever it was. But he's a long lefty, he throws a lot of strikes, it's a clean operation, he's going to get stronger, and he can spin a curveball.
Wow, shocking, guys. I mean, this is one I'm going to ask for just somebody to give me a quick primer on him, because this is a name that's newer to me. He's not newer to you guys, but newer to me.
This is the guy we started hearing about last fall.
Okay.
Got tipped off from a scout in the Northeast, said, hey, this guy's 86, 89, and it's not real loud yet, but, watch this video. You could see the athleticism, you could see the ease of the operation, you could see the projection, he could spin the ball. And now the velo popped, and we're seeing, a guy who is 86, 89 versus a guy who's more 89, 92, touching higher than that. The curveball's got more bite to it. He's bigger physically. Just all the data points, point towards an upwards trajectory in terms of his development. And that's kind of what we imagine whoever takes him late in the first is going to be betting on, obviously, is the upside and the projection.
So cool. So cool. Rays, Brian, go at 28.
Yeah, this one became interesting when Jered took Mooney at 25, because I thought that I was going to get him here at 28.
Oh, Mooney is such a ray.
Yeah, right. Mooney's definitely a ray. So there's some guys who have fallen a little bit. There's some guys on the board here who, I'm going to stick with shortstop, and I will go with the second Boston College first rounder of the day, and I'm going to take Cody Morissette. Nice. This is a guy who maybe he's a second baseman, maybe he can play short. We're not really sure. I think he had a hand injury this spring that kept him out for a little while. As a result, his stock dipped a little bit. He did a good job of resuscitating that when he came back. There's more power there than you'd expect, and he's just kind of that, there's some safety here. There's contact skill, there's speed, there's up the middle defensive projection that you really don't even have to dream on. It's already there. And so as he comes into a little bit more power, I think this makes sense for the Rays for sure.
Career 907 OPS. Sorry, Vinny, go for it.
No, I was just going to say that the hand injury kind of robbed him of any power he had the chance to really hit for this spring, because he's shown it before.
Jered, Dodgers, final pick of this mock draft as we go through the first round. Obviously, sans Houston. Dodgers, 29.
I don't think this one's going to surprise Sack or Vinny when I go ahead and do this here. I'm going to take Jay Allen out of Florida. So when I was down south,
another quarterback.
So when I was down south recruiting, I got a tip like, hey, there's this 8th grader up in the Treasure Coast area. I know it's young, but come see him. So I was going to see a JUCO game and coming back up. He was actually playing a Babe Ruth game, and I was mortified that I was going to do this. So I was actually kind of down the left field line in the bush, and I saw 2 at bats. He smoked 2 line drives up the middle, stole on consecutive pitches both times, stole second, stole third, goes home, and I'm like, okay, I've seen enough. Well, then he goes and wins Player of the Year in football this year, Player of the Year in basketball this year. In the short list of as they went to the state finals or whatever, in the short list of Player of the Year for baseball. And 2 years ago, leaving the WWBA, they lost in a Final 8 game. He drove overnight. Very next day, had a basketball tournament. He puts up 28 points driving from Atlanta down to Orlando. This is the type of athlete. I think we can all agree if there's one system that can develop athletic bats, it's the Dodgers, and I think it's a perfect fit here.
Love him. Love who he is as an athlete. John Carroll Catholic and Deanna Singletary, his mom, we've gotten to know pretty darn well. The rock of that home. All right, you've taken us through 29. There's some great names that a lot of you folks care about out there, that you guys care about that are left. I'll give you guys each one that you can add to this. And Brian, you start a name that we didn't select that you want to talk about.
I'm going to go with the guy who, for a 4-week stretch last summer, was the best player on the planet, and that's James Wood. Big left-handed bat, goes to IMG. He's a Maryland native. Corner outfield profile, like maybe first base even. But, man, last summer, man, there was a stretch, and Jered and Vin and everybody else who works for PG will tell you that this man was unbelievable. Unbelievable power in the left-handed bat, hits balls out at his eyes or at his shoe tops. It's a better athlete than maybe you'd think. It's like he's the dude in this class that might hit 50 bombs in the big leagues one day in a season. Like that's who he might be. That's not saying he will. The odds are likely that it's not. But he's the one with that kind of upside. So I'm going to take him for sure.
All right, Greg Girard.
Yeah, that's a cool name, man. That guy could, if he wanted to, be a college basketball player as well. Yep. He has that great history in his family.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, that's a dude. This is a Maryland guy who played elite basketball when he was back before he went to IMG. Jered, a name that we haven't talked about that you'd love to talk about.
I'm going, and it just is what it is. I'm going with a Florida guy. I'm going with Judd Fabian. I think when it comes down to models, he's going to get hurt by some of the metrics, especially that first 6 or 7 weeks of the college season. But when guys
40% K rate,
yes, it's high. But when you look at the other side and you look at just what he does when he puts balls in play, he is a terrific defender in center field. It's just been outstanding to see him kind of right his own ship of what player he is now. You know, he is a power swing and miss guy, a good defender in center field, and I think he can stay there long term. But when you just talk about what happens when he makes contact, it's 20. He's got 20. You know, yeah. and that's with that, swing and miss. That's always going to be the question. I just think at the premium position, when it gets to models of what he does when he makes contact and how far he's going to hit balls, I'm going to go with Judd Fabian and bet on the athlete, and hopefully he gets into a good PD that starts to hone that approach, because there's no doubt what happens on the backside when he connects.
Vinny, who haven't we talked about that you want to take the floor and talk about?
Well, first off, I want to thank Jered for talking about Judd. That way I didn't have to. I didn't want to get emotional here on air. No, Judd's a favorite of mine, and I think he's awesome. I'm going to talk about a guy who, it's nuts to say this on June 3rd, but once we get going, I think we'll be gone in the top 20 picks, and that's Joey Barrels. Another Northeast guy, a prep catcher out of New York. His brother Charlie Mack was a 5th-round pick by the Twins a couple years back. Mack was, for my money, the best hitter, like one of the more consistent hitters, the best hitters over the course of the summer. He's a guy that, I've been kind of in my head at least comparing left and right with like Tyler Soderstrom, another former first rounder who went there in the back end of the first. I think Mack can really bang. I think he's more than defensible behind the plate. He has a cannon of an arm. I got like a 1.79 or something in East Coast Pro last summer. But he plays in New York, which just started playing 2 weeks ago, which is kind of crazy.
It's almost as crazy as that sounds with Joe Mack. Out of sight, out of mind. It's crazy.
It's June 3rd, and we don't have an accurate stock report yet because he hasn't really played. So, but I think once he gets going, once guys see him, it's a slam dunk first rounder, and like Jered said, out of sight, out of mind. Don't forget about him because he's going to go pretty good, and he's going to be a really good pro, I think.
Yeah, he benefits from the draft being around the All-Star game, right? Being in July, definitely. He absolutely benefits.
Oh
from
yeah.
That. I'm gonna throw one name out here before we say goodbye, folks, and it's Ethan Wilson out of South Alabama. I enjoyed getting to know him this spring on a couple of different conversations. He fits, Vinny, your college world out of Andalusia and off that area, Andalusia, Alabama. Was not a guy that was going to be picked high, and then turned his journey at South Alabama into a good one, including putting a ton of pressure on himself this year, where he probably tried too hard and came up with results that he didn't want until he finally relaxed at the end, where he realized that we is better than me as far as focusing, and we was his team going to the regionals. The me is I'm good. If I try to help my team, then I'll do it. So love it. Love who he is. I'm excited to see if he sneaks into that first round What a great journey going to South Alabama. Some fun surprises. Love the shortstops high. Love the Khalil Watson pick so very high. We're going to keep doing this. These guys, you can see their minds. They've seen these young athletes since they were teenagers, and some of them before then, all the way through their college journeys. Glad you found us on Perfect Game TV. Mock draft on your air, on your stream, version number 1. Number 2 coming up right around the corner. Players, keep getting after it. These guys are watching.